Hello, and welcome to my guide on installing Windows NT Workstation 3.51 through KVM. This goes through libvirt to make it more easier. Of course, you don't have to use libvirt if you don't want to. You can go through other systems as well, but libvirt is just so much easier. In the next section, we'll go through the virt-sh command and through the virt-install command on how to actually install the ISO and things. And at the end, you're going to have full network, video, and sound support in your Windows NT Workstation 3.51 running under KVM. So let's do the login here, and I'll go through all this. I'll go through all the components. This is how I usually start my videos. My videos usually start off with what we're going to expect before we get into the setup. So technically, I actually record the videos backwards in a sense. I actually recorded the setup already. Oh, what did I just move there? Okay. Weird. When I play this back, I'll take a look, but that's very strange. Anyways, so we're gonna go into here, control panel. So we're gonna take a look. So the end result we're gonna have this setup here. So we're gonna have 16-bit color. You can choose more if you want, but I don't think it supports it because if you look at this color thing here, color band, it doesn't really seem more than 256, so I don't think the system even supports more than that. List modes, you do get everything here, but you can go up to 1080p if you really want to. I have another video on my channel that shows that. You can just set it up yourself after you install the VBE stuff. And yeah, so there's that. And then you're also gonna have access to audio. If you look here, Sound Blaster 16 is set up there, and then of course the network is set up as well. You get pcnet networking all configured up. So yeah, in the next section, we're gonna go through on how I basically created this exact virtual machine here. You're gonna see. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy, and I'll be talking to you in a few seconds. Welcome to Windows NT 3.51 installation through libvirt. So in this video, I could go through Virt Manager. We are going to use that a bit later, but right now, this is the traditional way. You have 5 steps you can go through. You can go through it all and select your install media, etc., etc. But since we want to create a reproducible install that's easily done through a shell script, or done any way you want, and reproducible also because I can just copy this virt-install command directly into the YouTube description section, so you can just copy and paste it and be on your way as long as you have the disks and ISOs and everything like that to make it work. But let's go for this. So to do the install, we're going to use virt-install, of course. You can get this through repositories or however else you want to get it. It should be available also through, if you use the Windows versions of libvirt, I'm guessing it should be there as well. So virt-type, we're going to go KVM, and we're going to choose the name as WinNT 3.51, then cdrom is going to be OS's WinNT 3.51.iso. And then OS variant, there's an OS variant specifically for this. If you go WinNT 3.51, it'll set up certain devices correctly. Some of them it doesn't. So then we go disk, size is 2 gigabytes. Change that to whatever you want, but since this is a very old system, going over 2 gigabytes is not very easy. Without some effort. So then we also, since the cdrom does not boot by itself, we need to actually insert a DOS 6.22 image. So we go vol OS's DOS 622.image, and it's going to be a device. It's going to be floppy and read-only equals on. So I place all my install media on read-only media, so that's why we have to put read-only on. And also we don't really want this disk to be modified by accident anyways. And then memory can be anything you want. I would go 64, should be fine for this kind of machine. And then sound, we're going to do Sound Blaster 16. We'll go through the installation of that. And then CPU needs to be 486 in order for this to work correctly. And network, user, and then we go model is going to be pcnet. If you're going through the system, libvirt's through system, you don't need to use network equals user. You can update that to whatever you want, like bridged or whatever. But for this example, we're going to use because running it as a user session. So, and with that, we just got to hit enter here, and it's going to try booting from the CD at first, which we actually don't want it to do. So we're going to load it up here. So here it is, and you'll notice that it tries to boot from the CD right away, but it can't. So we're just going to quit the virt viewer here, We're going to quit it, and you'll notice it's still running here. So if you have virt manager installed, what you can do is just go here and go force off. But I want to show you how to stop it. We'll stop it through the command line. Since this isn't going through, since there's no ACPI available right now, we can't just do a regular shutdown. We actually have to shut it down forcefully. So we do a destroy, and then we go winnt, and it's going to destroy it. And then we need to enable the boot menu in order to be able to boot to the floppy disk in order to boot DOS at first. So we go virt sh edit winnt 351, and then we hit enter, and then we get this. And then in the OS section of the XML file, right below boot, it actually can be anywhere in here really, but I like to put it below boot. It just makes sense there. Go boot menu and go enable equals yes, and then close it off, and we save it and we exit it. And if it says this right here, that means it was successfully done. It'll give you an error if it wasn't able to do it correctly. It'll give you the option to retype it in. And then we're going to restart it back up. So virt sh start winnt 351. And then if you are doing remotely, just go back into virt viewer again and type in winnt 351 and hit enter. And then we'll get back to where we were. Now we have to reboot it because, as they say, it boots by default directly into, tries to boot, not the disk. So we do a send key, control delete, and then as soon as it pops up the option for boot menu, press escape, and boot the floppy. And it's going to try and load the cdrom onto C because the disk is not partitioned, period. So we have to fix that right away. So that's the first thing we're going to fix. So as soon as it boots up, well, actually not fix really, it's not really anything broken, but it's just the option. So fdisk mbr, we do that first, and then we go fdisk, and then we go 1 to create the main partition, primary, and go yes to create the maximum size, and then reboot again. And then hit escape, and 2 for floppy again, and it's the last time we have to boot into DOS 6.22. And this time the CD-ROM drive will appear on the D drive, which is what we want. But the C drive is still not formatted. We still have to format the C drive before we can actually start the setup process. So now we go format C and hit yes. And we're done. Then go to the D drive and do a dir. Because they're running in real mode right now, and KVM, QEMU acts very strange with CD-ROMs in real mode, it'll take a while to do a dir here. Once we get the 32-bit driver set up and we're booted into NT 3.5.1, this won't be a problem. Going to the CD-ROM drive will be just as fast as anything else. It's just in real mode. It's just, it uses the BIOS calls, and it slows everything down. Okay, after you're in there, go cd i386, and this is the real mode portion of the install, and we're going to do winnt-b. B is very important in this case because you don't want to have to worry about floppy disk and things like that. -b is for a floppy disk-less installation process. So -b, and we just hit enter. And then disk location, and then it just copies the files needed to boot into the 32-bit version of the setup program. So we'll just give it a few seconds to wait here. Does take a bit of time. Doesn't take too long though, but you know, it's definitely not the quickest process in the entire known universe. Huh? Oh, okay. I was looking at my recording thing, and I noticed when I'm talking I don't see the levels going up. I was like, okay, but no, it is. You're kind of worried there. Okay, now MS-DOS version set is done. Now we just reboot into NT setup. And this will boot the NT kernel, which will in turn boot into the 32-bit version of setup. So we'll all be in 32-bit drivers at this point, so things will be much more smooth. So, and this portion setup's pretty quick. Just hit enter a couple times. Almost. Okay, so here, enter, go custom setup. We have the text or IDE, CD-ROM, which is good. Enter, fat. We're going to convert it into FS. Continue, enter, and escape. We don't want to do this exhaustive test because we're running off of a QCOW2 image. If you're running it off an LVM or a flat file or just a block device, then yeah, I would recommend doing this. But since we're running off a QCOW2, this is just going to cause us problems. So let's just press escape and let it just do a basic check and do the install. And there we go. It always hangs a little bit at the auto check. Just don't worry about that. It'll eventually go through. It's just because it's trying to sync everything to the QCOW, because it's so fast that the QCOW2 image can't keep. The virtual disk can't keep up. well, the old OS can't keep up with everything, right? So it just has to do its sync. The buffers have to flush. That's most likely what it's doing at this portion, right? Come on. And after this, we'll get into the GUI setup, and then after the GUI setup is done, it's all good to go. Once this comes through, come on, there we go. And saving configuration, and then we restart the computer. And now we're going to load into the GUI portion of the setup. And here we go. Okay. Text over is X, continue, computer name, NT351, enter, enter, enter. Okay, so here we don't want to set up printers or applications. I want to do those ones because I want to select everything, and then continue. Allow it to detect the pcnet device. Keep the defaults are perfectly fine. I'll enable these for future labs we're going to do in the series, and we would recommend to turn on the FTP server because it allows you to transfer files in and out of the VM easily if you're using proper networking, and then of course enable DHCP, of course. You see, if you're using a private network through the virt manager running as the system user, you'll be able to actually use the FTP service. Using the FTP service with this NAT system is not as straightforward. So, but let's continue. And this warns us about clear text passwords through FTP. Since we're on a private network, we don't have to worry about that. Just go continue. And then I'll update these settings later on. Click continue, and now it's going to continue with the setting up of everything, and then we're just going to do our install. And the install shouldn't take too long. It's only slow when it has to do the real mode calls, as you notice, to update the screen. Once we install the VBE driver, we'll be golden for that. So almost there. And foundation with the future. Almost there we go. And there we go. Okay, these are fine. Click OK. It'll start the network up, and then it'll ask us for joining a domain or a workgroup information. These are fine. And now it's starting up the network, and then it'll give us the option. In this one, we're not going to be doing a domain, but in a future video, I'll probably be showing how to create a domain controller and add an existing machine to it. So we're going to be probably going through that at some point soon. But in this one, we're not. So let's just do the install. That should be, and we're going to reboot right away. We don't need to create a password here. And username, we're not going to be using this user right away during this video. This is just formalities, and continue. Okay, for this, mountain time. Mountain time. I usually uncheck this because I think it would just cause problems. It would update the time in the guest when I don't want it to, because the guest is not always on, because the guest always takes the time from the host. So this is not really needed. So press OK. And here we're going to set up this afterwards. So we want to boot into a proper system first. So we press OK. And we don't need emergency repair disk, and we restart the computer. Okay. And then the first boot here, it's going to do a drive convert from FAT to NTFS, as you'll see in a few moments after it gets past this part. So it detected it as FAT, and it's going to do the convert. Then it's going to reboot again, and then we'll be in NTFS. Converting file system. we go. Rebooted. NT351 again. Give it a few moments. Now it should boot into the desktop. And after we get to the desktop, we're going to switch over to the virt manager interface because that one's much more easier to be able to configure the disks. So, Control Delete. Oh, right. I want to log in as administrator first. Administrator. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go here. We're going to go open. Boop. Okay, virt manager's out. Okay, now we're going to install the sound because we have the disk in the machine still. So we're going to go here, we go to drivers, we go add, we add the Sound Blaster 16, press OK. A few seconds, we need to go d:/i386, enter, keep the default, but turn off MPU 401. This is not supported in KVM. That's for playing MIDI music. Don't need that. Click OK and restart now. And then after this restart, there'll be sound. The sound won't appear on the video because I don't have the sound recording I don't have the pass-through sound recorded for this, so you're not going to hear any sound. So we're boot again. Okay, and then now we have the disk in. In order to install the VESA BIOS extensions driver, which we'll be doing it very, very shortly here, we will need to first copy a special DLL off of the disk. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to open a command prompt. We're going to go c/winnt35/system32. We're going to go and do a expand d:/i386/framebuff.dl_ as framebuff.dll. So it's going to put framebuff.dll in the current directory. We're expand it, problem solved, and we're done there. Now we go c/mkdir upd. This is for the update files. So now we have to go over here. Make sure you guys can see everything. Okay, so we're going to go to the floppy. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to eject that disk, and we're going to put in the SP service pack disk, and then go here. And now we'll do a quick dir d and go d sp5_351i and do it. Make sure you run it with a -d, the service pack extractor, because this will extract it with the directories intact, which we do want. So -d, hit enter, and it should extract everything. And it's almost done now. Okay, and then we'll run update. Update. It does take a few moments to load it though. For now. Yeah, the VBE drivers are going to fix up a lot of this slowness. Okay, press OK and let it just do its install. Shouldn't take too long. And this will install SP Service Pack 5, which we will see once we reboot. It should say on the on that first loading screen. There we go. And reboot. And then after this, we'll get the VESA-BIOS extension driver installed. And that should not take too long at all. Okay. And to get the VESA-BIOS extension drivers, just search Google for VBENT, and it'll pop up. I will also leave hopefully I remember to leave a link in the description for that as well. So, okay, let's log in again. Okay, we're going to go back to here. We're going to remove that. We're going to get the VBE3 floppy, apply, go back here. Now to install the disk, we go to install the display driver. Go to display, in here, change display type, change other, go to A, boop, and then we're going to choose 800 by 600 16-bit color, so we get good color and it works perfectly in the machine. So install. Yes, it'll ask us for the disk again. Drivers are installed, and we restart now. Okay, and then we'll get up to 800 by 600 resolution. You can increase it higher too if you want, but this is just the what it's going to be set at for our lab and demonstration stuff. So, okay, and run it again. Yep, there's Service Pack 5 in the top right, as you notice. And there we go. And we can also do this here, which I'd recommend. Go resize to VM. It's also scale display too if you do high resolutions. And delete. And we log in. Boop. It'll ask us this question, and then we just go down here, we press OK, and go OK, and we're good to go. And there it is. Windows NT 351 with VESA-BIOS extension and everything else loaded in. So hopefully this video was very helpful, and please subscribe because I will be doing more very soon. The next one I'll be going for is NT4, then go to 2000 and XP. The good parts about 2000 and XP is that those ones actually allow for the unintended install options, which I will be going through as well. So stay tuned for that, and yep. Hopefully these were helpful, and have yourself a great day.